Okay, that's enough copyrighted music. Hopefully Disney doesn't notice and come after me and break my legs.
I'm just going to finish this banana. So
You're listening to Words About Books, a podcast with a guy who shoves entire bananas in his mouth. And also me, Nate. We're here to talk about the final book with Thrawn in it ever. There's no other books with Thrawn. This is it. It's the end of the Thrawn Trilogy. I'm Nate, joined by Ben, who I think just cleared the banana from his throat. How's it going, man?
No one's ever really gone.
Oh, no.
No one's ever really gone. Especially not Thrawn.
He actually does come back several times in both Legends and the Disney canon.
Yeah.
He's never going away.
He's got a very marketable design. Of course he's... Well, and probably Timothy Zahn has some pull over there these days. So he's like, no, you're not getting rid of my OC. That's not a shot. I actually like... One of the things I'm going to be complimenting Timothy Zahn on is his characters.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight that today's episode, we're not going to huff a bunch of alpha Chad. We're instead going to examine some art.
We're gonna sip a bunch of classy tea, and we're gonna discuss the finer points of culture.
And then using that culture to overthrow a galactic government.
We can appreciate culture, but in the end, we gotta overthrow something.
That's a fair point.
I think we need to do a brief refresher, because not everybody who listens to this is going to have listened to the previous episodes. They are separated by literal years at this point.
All right, so Heir to the Empire. We did a special edition on that. Go listen to it. And then go listen to Star Wars Dark Force Rising. Catch yourself up.
I got
but here you go.
Two things I want to mention.
Here's your refresher.
Okay.
I actually do have to clear my throat. I'm sick and I blame my daughter. So Heir to the Empire. Luke, Han, and Leia, they bumble around until the plot finds them. We are introduced to Mara Jade, or Marinara Jade, whatever you want to call her. She's got red hair. And Talon Card. They're smugglers who smuggling with their smuggling ships. And then you've got our man. The guy we all came here for. You know him. You love him. He studies art and he looks good doing it in his sleek white suit. It's Grand Admiral Thrawn, baby! Yeah, he studies art, he outsmarts his opponents, and he wants to get some ships, but he doesn't get some ships, and at the end of the thing, Han and Luke know about him, and that's the entire first book. There's not much going on. Also, the galaxy is about the size of half of a U.S. state, because people just keep running into each other all over the place. Next book. Admiral Akbar, he has been accused of some treason, and we just kind of forget about that, and he is cleared off screen in between the second book and this book that we're talking about today. Han and Luke want to prevent Thrawn from getting ships just like last time, but this time, Thrawn gets those ships. Also, Talon Card and Mara join Team Good Guy, and Leia convinces some commandos from Thrawn's side to switch over. The end. That leads us to now.
Can I tell you
anything you want to add?
Well, there's a couple things I want to add, but there's something very telling in your...
Oh yeah, Lando's also there.
There's something very telling in your summary that's only becoming more telling as you think of things you forgot. You forgot the main villain of the trilogy.
Oh yeah, there's some crazy asshole Jedi Master who becomes the main villain in this book, but was definitely not the main villain in the last two books.
he was barely an inconvenience in the last two books. And then out of nowhere, he gets a power-up.
He becomes basically the Emperor, in
Yeah.
terms of power and in terms of the fact that he's the main objective.
So that
Thrawn is the main villain of the first 2 books, and then he takes a back seat in this book, the finale.
So that's the other thing I want to mention is this, if you did not know, is part of the Star Wars Legends series. We've talked about it at length, so I'm not going to go super into it. But shortly after Return of the Jedi came out, they started thinking about how they could continue the Star Wars brand and franchise. At the time, Lucas, I don't think, wanted to make more movies. And so this...
Yeah, he wanted to go and make short little art films on his own.
Well, he wanted to go
we're still waiting for.
He wanted to go make big budget World War II films, but that didn't pan out. So now he wants to make small personal projects.
He did eventually make a World War II film.
He made Red Tails, yes.
Yeah, but didn't he basically make big budget World War II films, but in space?
So what I was saying was this series is a direct sequel to Return of the Jedi. So
yes, these were the original 7, 8, and 9. This
Yeah.
was the sequel trilogy back in the day.
So to an extent, you need to reset your mind to a world where the prequels don't exist.
Oh, yeah.
The sequels don't exist. There's none of the cartoons, none of that. We don't even have the word Sith. We think the Clone Wars was a war against clones.
Yes, that is very, very apparent.
That is super explicit in this book, that the Clone Wars are a war against clones. This is where it treads towards, like, I don't think they say anything that directly contradicts the prequels, but they come about as close as they can without the whole book not being canon. It very heavily implies...
To be fair, I would rather have these books as canon than the prequel trilogy.
Yes. That's something else we'll probably get into here. But yeah, so we don't have the term Sith. Everybody is a dark Jedi, and all Force powers are referred to as Jedi powers. There's no concept of the Force and the Jedi being separate things. There's obviously the clone problem. This is the one that introduces, by the way, the Emperor was racist. Because
it was cheaper to just have human
Obviously.
actors for the most part,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah, the only
Instead,
reason
it's like, nah, he's a racist piece of shit.
I mean, maybe that was George Lucas's intention, because he did go out of his way to make sure that the Rebels had a diverse cast of characters, and they looked like they were cobbled together from everywhere, and the Empire was supposed to be the Nazis. So I could see the Emperor being a weird space racist, but this solidifies that concept.
Yeah,
So
you
there's
know
that.
how he felt about non-humans, right, Ben? You know how the Emperor felt.
Generally not good, I guess.
To be fair, I think that's his way of feeling about everyone.
I was gonna say,
generally not good.
I don't think he had a tremendous amount of respect for the humans that worked for him.
Yeah. No, he routinely murdered them for minor infractions.
And cloned them and made them disposable, and
He blew up an entire planet as a demonstration.
that's what this was intended to be. Now, obviously, the trip up here is that's not what this is now, because Disney bought the Star Wars franchise and decided that the entire expanded universe, this had gone on for hundreds of books at this point.
And comics,
yeah,
and just all kinds of media, actually.
And people loved it. It was very important to the Star Wars fan
You know what?
base.
After reading this, I kind of like it. I would read more of this. I don't want to get into final thoughts too quickly, but
Yeah.
this is actually a fun and entertaining thing, especially after seeing what Disney did with their own sequel trilogy, which was flaming hot garbage.
So
Are we Are we even going to bother comparing the sequel trilogy to this sequel trilogy anymore? I feel like it's a moot point. The Disney sequel trilogy sucked.
So that was another thing I was going to say is when I was a kid, I was super into the expanded universe. Probably all the way up to when I was in college, I was still reading some of the stuff that was just coming out. And the expanded universe got good. It was a little soap opera-y. It was a little cliched. You know, everybody pairs off and has kids. Everybody's kids are friends. And I could see when Disney bought it, how they were going to have to sort of undo this because so much of the expanded universe revolves around the cast of the original series. And at this point, they were aging rapidly. So they couldn't really be the stars of these action-heavy movies.
And you definitely can't just recast them.
Touché. That might be...
They actually did recast some of them.
Well, you definitely can't just do some kind of hologram CGI necromancy.
Yes, they actually brought one of them back to life.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, Disney dragged Peter Cushing's corpse back from the grave. Oh, God. So, yeah, that's the expanded universe. If you want to know more, check out our Heir to the Empire remastered episode. I think I could do a deep dive.
We also straight up talk about the expanded universe last year. So
yeah,
we've covered a decent amount.
I'll talk more about it if you guys want. Send me an email, send me a tweet. Yeah, so Disney threw all this out. It became Star Wars Legends. They still publish it, which is cool, I guess. They could have just pretended it didn't exist, but they did acknowledge it. They just relabeled it Legends, said it's not the main canon. Here we are. Initially, when we started this was the first book we covered on Words About Books, and we had this whole big series planned, and we were going to compare it to the sequel trilogy that was coming out. When we started that, I think only The Last Jedi was out, or what was that called?
So, yeah, The Last Jedi is the 8th movie, so don't forget about The Force Awakens.
I didn't forget it, but I was saying, like...
But yes, The Last Jedi was the most recent film. I wanted to say The Fall of Skywalker. I think it's The Rise of Skywalker had not come out yet. I think neither had a Han Solo story or The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian was definitely not out. So we had the Last Jedi, and at that point when we were reading this, I was like, well, yeah, the Disney movies are the better movies because this is kind of cheesy and like, oh, your favorites are back and here, spend more time with them, and they're not killable because they're your favorites, blah blah blah, and everybody's gonna get a girlfriend and everybody's gonna have babies and it's happily ever after, but they're all still fighting badasses. I was like, it's too cheesy. It's too cheesy to make into movies. And then whatever what was it called? The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then that came out, and
I don't know what death is. It's not in my vocabulary. I don't even know what that word means. We made it up.
Yeah, and then that came out, and it was...
I've got 100,000 Star Destroyers with Death Star cannons.
Then it became very apparent that they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, at least the Thrawn Trilogy, for all of its faults, and there are many faults, and we'll get into that, it felt like he kind of had an idea when he started the first book where all of this was going.
So I will say, would these make better movies? Yes, but they wouldn't make good movies.
I agree with that. You've convinced me that what they needed to do was just turn these into a season of TV or a season of Disney Plus.
Yeah, I do think there is room for this to be a show. And
yeah, you could just... You're Disney. You're spending several $1 billion on this property. Just take the parts that everyone universally likes and turn those into TV series.
I think without, like you said, without jumping into final thoughts, I think what this book did was it took the elements that were painfully introduced at great length in the first two books, and it solidified them.
I'd agree.
By the end of this book, I care as much about Mara Jade and Talon Card as I care about Leia and Lando. I care about Pelion even. I care about Thrawn. And I was invested in the new characters that Timothy Zahn introduced as much as I was invested in the main cast. He just made them part of the story, and that's something that not a lot of these franchise merchandise books can do. They can't ever add anything new because the only thing anybody cares about is the nostalgia. Timothy Zahn managed to bring something new in, and I liked it, and it was believable. It treaded a tremendous amount of water.
The series or the book?
The series and the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it just spends a lot
sure.
of time. It didn't need to be 3 books. We talked about this. Everything in Star Wars must come in 3s.
Yes, it didn't need to be 3 books, but God damn it, Ben, this is Star Wars you're talking about. It's got to be 3.
Yeah.
You can't have 2 books. It's got to be 3. And hey, good for Timothy Zahn, who I want to keep calling Timothy Thrawn.
Timothy Thrawn. He'd probably like that.
Yeah, good for him. He got paid for 3 books and also a shitload of other books. He's done a lot for the expanded universe, as far as I can tell.
Oh, yeah. So I guess we should dive into the story a little bit.
Yeah, we should.
So if this is one where I'm going to remind you, if you care about the story, if you listen to Words About Books to get a quick summary of what we're talking about, you're either going to have to listen to the previous episodes or you're going to have to get yourself on Wikipedia right now. That's a real thing. And catch up, because none of this is going to make sense. So I think we should first start off with the unresolved plot thread from the first book, Admiral Akbar's financial crimes.
I forgot. I remember, so there was a part early in the book where they're like, yeah, Admiral Akbar is coordinating this stuff, and I'm like, wait, hold on, he's out of jail? I thought he was in prison for accepting Imperial bribes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
So in the last book, two of the big plot drivers were Phalia, a Bothan High Council member who was campaigning for to dethrone Mon Mothma, and as part of that he had found that Admiral Akbar received a bribe from the Empire. This bribe was actually planted there by Thrawn.
Who would have thought?
To discredit Admiral Akbar. And whenever Thrawn does a thing that makes the rebels, well, I guess they're not rebels, they're the New Republic. Whenever Thrawn does the thing that makes anyone from the main cast of the movies look bad, they immediately know it's a trap. But there's no reason for them to suspect it's a trap. It really looked like Admiral Akbar took a bribe, and this politician, Phalia, is like, well, he's got to go. He's taking bribes from the Empire. And everybody's like, you're an asshole, Phalia. How could you ever doubt Admiral Akbar? And it's like, the money's in his account, guys. We got to at least investigate it. And they're like, no, screw you, Phalia. Screw you for even suggesting it.
I think he was just under house arrest at the time.
Well,
yeah, they didn't even throw him in jail. They were just like, hey, we're going to put him in house arrest because we do need to investigate this.
They just took him off of command of the entire fleet because somebody put money in his bank account, and duh. You'd have to. You'd have to, right? Even if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, he can't be in charge of the fleet while he's being investigated for taking bribes from the Empire. That's just common sense. But Phalia is an asshole, and Phalia, for whatever it's worth, acts like an asshole. And you keep wondering where this is going to go, because at the end, Phalia's conciliatory. Phalia's a roadblock to them right up until the end. But at the end, you do find out he's not just an asshole. He's just a guy who doesn't like Admiral Akbar.
Yeah, he's just a guy who is jockeying for position in the political world, as you do when you're a politician.
So you're really wondering for the start of this book, like, how is Phalia how is conciliatory, repentant Phalia gonna be a thing in this book? And Timothy Zahn cleverly handles that by Phalia takes a vow of silence as penance, and he's just not in the book.
He starts talking literally like right at the very end.
Yeah. Phalia does become a character later on in the EU. I know that from reading other books, and I do like him. But that was lame. That was real lame. Admiral Akbar is cleared off screen.
Yeah.
And
I wrote in my notes, Admiral Akbar was reinstated ... for some reason. Cause again, I didn't know why he was cleared because they didn't clear him in the second book. They just made Phalia come out as an asshole. Who didn't care about the troops on the ground.
Yeah, so Admiral Akbar was cleared off screen. Phalia has taken a vow of silence, which is his way of telling you, I can't appear in this book. There's just too much going on. Which was nice of him, I guess.
Yeah. There actually, to be fair, there is a lot going on that it at least seems important because, like, for example, this entire trilogy, there's been something called Delta Source. It's a plant in the innermost circle of the New Republic.
And boy, is it ever a plant.
It feeds Thrawn information. And, like, oh my god, he knows all this insider information. How are we going to stop this? And
who is the traitor?
They stop it. Yeah, exactly. Who is the traitor for the next 3 books? That's why I think that you're supposed to think, oh my god, maybe it's Phalia. Maybe Phalia is Delta Source for some reason.
Yeah,
There's also Crazy Master Sebaioth, who's a cloned Jedi who's slowly, not even slowly, he's quickly going crazier and more insane. And we're going to have to deal with him and the Grand Admiral.
No.
And now the Grand Admiral has clones, Ben.
You got to get it right. Sebaioth is suffering from clone madness.
I haven't read... There's a book with the original Sebaioth, and I think that he's always been an asshole. He's just insane and an asshole now.
Can we talk about how I actually have a highlight here?
Oh dear.
His name is Joruus Sebaioth.
But he has an extra U in his name.
He has an extra U. That's how you know he's a clone. It's like Kingdom Hearts bullshit where they put an X in the name and Sora becomes
we're going to get into that.
Roxas. And so
we're going to get into that towards the end.
Yeah, every clone has a fucking extra U in their name. That's how you know they're a clone. And I'm just sitting there like, it's in dialogue. Like, this is how the dialogue is written. Joruus Sebaioth, insane clone of the long-dead Jedi Master, Joruus Sebaioth. And it's like, did he pronounce it different?
He had to, because
Joruus?
The reason they know he's a clone is he introduces himself to Thrawn and Pelion in the first book as Joruus.
I'm Joruus Sebaioth.
And Pelion's like, oh my god, he pronounced an extra U in his name. He's a fucking clone!
All clones double their U's. That's the only way you can tell. Also, they all suffer from clone madness at some point, so that's a thing.
Except for Thrawn's clones for some reason, Ben. He's growing them in 15 days when they should be taking months. How is he doing it, Ben? The answer may be really stupid.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think it was that dumb. But let's start.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning.
Jedi Master Jorus Sebayath is making fun of Thrawn for his stupid art studying, but Thrawn consistently is correct. I do like that, unlike in certain Disney properties, Thrawn does not have unlimited resources out of nowhere. Thrawn has a clone army, but the question is, well, you have to give them, like, guns and training, and you gotta feed them. Like, clones still require food. How is he gonna do that, Ben? And the beginning is just to show off how cool Thrawn is, I guess, because he conquers a planet that's basically just a big farm planet.
Well, yeah, let's talk
He
about...
conquers it
yeah.
by firing a laser at the planetary shield and having a cloaked ship under the shield. And when the laser hits the planetary shield, his ships underneath fire their own lasers. So it looks like the laser just goes through the shield, Ben. How does he do that?
I did have a question about this. Like, as interesting as that was...
How did a ship go through the planetary
Yeah,
shield?
if you can just get a ship under the planetary shield, why don't you just take the one with the laser under the planetary shield and shoot the laser? But I do want to point out one thing now that you're talking about this. I have a highlight in my Kindle here. This is something that the expanded universe didn't continue to do quite so bad, but because these are the first sequels to the movies, they constantly reference them, and they constantly reference and justify the movies. So here is the quote. With planetary shields able to hold off all but the most massive turbo laser and proton torpedo bombardment, conventional wisdom held that the only way to subdue a modern world was to put a fast-moving ground force down at the edges and send them over land to destroy the shield generators, i.e., the Han Solo Leia plot of Return of the Jedi.
And The Empire Strikes Back, when they went down to Hoth. That was what I was thinking of.
I thought they went down to Hoth just to destroy the base.
They went down and destroyed the shield generator because Captain whatever jumped out of hyperspace too close to the planet or whatever, and so they got their shield up, and now we got to go on land.
All right. Yeah, but so there was a need...
So it's both. It justifies both of them.
It justifies both. So now you know that.
And they do reference Endor a lot.
Oh my god, do they reference Endor a lot.
You remember Endor?
I remember that
it's where
being...
the natives beat the Empire with sticks and spears and rocks.
I remember that being kind of the beginning of the end of Star Wars, yeah.
That's exactly what my uncle and my father and...
Yeah.
Like, every time we talk about Star Wars, he's like, yep, it was great until the Ewoks. And then I checked out.
That's when George Lucas... Do you know, I read somewhere that the Ewoks were supposed to be Wookiees.
Supposed to be Wookiees.
But they ran out of budget. Which doesn't make any...
It was cheaper to hire short people and put them in smaller costumes.
I don't understand that.
I don't either, Ben.
How could it make that much of a budgetary difference?
Because George Lucas needed a 7th bedroom addition to his ranch, Ben. And those Wookiees were going to take away from that bedroom money.
I think he just wanted Ewoks. I think this was the Jar Jar Binks part 1. Anyway,
So yeah, I forgot Thrawn takes a farm planet. Now he's got food for his soldiers.
Yeah, I don't know. I was neither here nor there on that because I thought it was kind of... If you can travel through hyperspace on ships that never land, I assume food is a solved problem for you.
I don't know. Do they never land?
They can't land a Star Destroyer. They're too large.
Yeah, but I assume they have, like, shipyards they have to dock to refuel in.
I guess, but
they talk about needing more fuel for their war machine.
My understanding was, and this is, again, Star Wars is more a fantasy than a sci-fi. There are people living on, like, rocks in the middle of space. There are people living on space stations. Like, I thought food was a solved problem. This was the first time that anyone...
they have gigantic worlds that are giant farms.
Okay, this is the first time anyone has ever mentioned food being a problem in any Star Wars franchise. The Rebels were never worried about their supply lines. Supplies were never a factor.
But now they are, because it's Timothy fucking Zahn.
I'm not criticizing Timothy Zahn for that. That was just a thing I wasn't accustomed to dealing with in Star Wars. But it's okay.
I liked that they had to think about their resources instead of just having stuff. I like that Thrawn did not have an army of Star Destroyers with Death Star lasers attached to them.
So I like that he had to get ships. In Star Wars, it has long been established that ships are relatively expensive resources. I'm a little... I guess when they introduced the concept of the clones, I was like, well, there's plenty of beings in the universe. It doesn't make sense to me that they need men. But the way these clones work is they can copy the actual knowledge of the template person. So if Thrawn needs a bunch of highly qualified ship engineers, he can take his best ship engineer and duplicate that man 30 times, and then he's got 30 of the best engineers in the world.
But that ship engineer needs to have a U in his name so we can identify the original.
Well, yeah, and each one is going to have more U's than the first, I guess. But that's how clones work in this. So as we established in Attack of the Clones, that movie that George Lucas made, they had to
I like how accusatory that is.
Like they had whatever Jango Fett as the template, and okay, Jango Fett's a very attractive physical specimen, I guess, but they still had to train all his clones. So I guess in this, he doesn't have to train anybody. He just zaps the knowledge into him, which did make more sense because I gotta figure there's quadrillions of sentient beings in this galaxy. I mean, I guess if you're going to be a weird space racist, you're not.
And how many of them are humans?
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
They gotta be human.
A disproportionate, for all the weird attention the books have paid to the Empire using only humans, they don't discuss why humans are so prolific.
Because we're the best.
But isn't that...
We're great.
Aren't you becoming a weird space racist? Species. Yeah. You're starting to become a weird space racist now. You know what never happens in Star Wars? You know what never happens in Star Wars, but did happen in Star Trek? Interspecies romance.
Huh.
Never happens.
That never happens?
I can't think of a single instance.
I'm sure that someone's fucked a Twi'lek.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they definitely sexualize other species, but I've never encountered... Like, for some reason, Jabba the Hutt, giant slug man, is attracted to like, primates.
Yeah, because humans are the best. We just been over this. Humans are the best. All right, where are we at? We're at the very beginning. Thrawn conquers a farm world. Let's try this again. He conquers a farm world. Jedi Sebaioth is like, Leia wants me, man. I'm a Jedi Master. And so does Mara. So does Luke. They all want my bod. Because I'm so powerful. And I'm f***ing buff. I'm going to go take a nap now. Goodbye.
That is his character in general. Yeah.
And then Luke is looking for some clones. It's a plot that doesn't go anywhere because this whole thing is staged to look like there's a clone pipeline going through here. But Mara knows where the clones are coming from later on.
Can I make your work easier here? And I'm just going to say...
Well, hold on. Luke mentions...
the high ground!
Before that was a meme.
Oh, Jesus.
He's like, we don't really have the high ground. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Make my work easier, Ben. They go on a subplot that goes nowhere. What's up?
I was going to say, Talon Card and the smugglers, I'm willing to just exclude that in general.
Okay. Yes, Luke meets Talon Card here, and he's like, wow, thank God that the galaxy is the size of, like, half of a U.S. state. or else we wouldn't ever run into each other on convenience like this. And he's like, hey, I'll pay you money if you find out where the clones are, but you won't, because you suck and you don't really do anything till the end. I do like Card as a character, but he had nothing to do for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to concede. I like Card. I want to see more of Card. I want to see less of him in this book.
He tries to band a group of smugglers together called the Smugglers Alliance. And again, you're not smugglers if you just have a trade empire.
Yeah.
And some Imperials attack, and I was like, that's kind of dumb. They'll just unite against the Empire, because most of these people were on the fence. And Thrawn was also like, wow, that was dumb. Why did Cigar Man from the second book do that? And it all ends with Cigar Man trying to get Card in trouble, but Cigar Man can't bluff to save his life, and they kill him instead. And they show up at the end to blow up a defense platform. That's it.
Another thing that dates this book in future expanded universe books, no one smokes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was shocked.
He was the only one.
I was shocked when I saw him smoking.
He was so noticeable.
Yeah.
He was smoking a cigar, and he was the only one in the entire galaxy that smoked. And so he was single-handedly keeping that business alive.
He's essentially a horse thief. I mean, he's like all the smugglers.
He is a ship thief.
Yeah,
that's his whole thing.
All the smugglers are like cowboys, like Han Solo was.
Yeah, except they own vast shipping empires.
Right.
They're just businessmen. I don't know why they call themselves smugglers, except for the fact that Han was a smuggler.
It's the class they're playing in this tabletop RPG.
Yeah.
So
you're either a Jedi, a soldier, or a smuggler.
Literally. So yeah, but
we're not going to go much into detail with them because they don't do anything.
Yeah, if you've ever watched a Western, he's the horse thief. He's the most hated man in the West.
And he gets blown up in the end.
Can I point out one funny quote? When they attack the farm planet, Pelion is marveling at Thrawn's calculation of how they would capitulate so quickly. On Thrawn's conviction that, at a basic psychological level, the Ukians were terrified of the impossible. I was like, whereas I am totally unfazed when impossible shit happens. Yeah, like if a whale fell out of the sky, I'd be totally cool with that. I can process anything with my giant human brain. Too bad for those Ukians. Can I just say, it made the Ukians sound like it was just an entire planet of H.P. Lovecraft's. They fired a turbo laser from within the shield? What might it be capable of? Surrender immediately. Surrender immediately.
Can I also point out the fact, so going back to Luke, he's undercover.
There's going to be a lot of can I also point out.
Luke, okay, so Luke he's looking for this clone pipeline, and they ultimately fail. My thing was, why is the most recognizable man in the galaxy doing this kind of undercover work?
Because we only have so many main characters to go around.
Okay.
And Luke wears a hood.
We can't introduce any more. We're packed to the brim with characters.
So actually, in all fairness, there is a point to it. And it's because they want to establish that the clones have a weird force presence, as if they're still somehow linked to one another and to the original, so that when you clone somebody, you're actually creating a weird phenomenon in the force. Like, they're sharing a soul, almost.
Thankfully, they never, ever touch on anything close to that.
Incorrect.
In this prequel.
You mean in the rest of this book?
The prequel.
Oh, yeah, no.
The prequel series. I was like...
Well, it's midichlorians. They got the same bacteria in their blood. They have the same microbiome, which is similar to having the same soul. But that is an important plot point because the Force plays an important role in why clones struggle with clone madness. It's a Force-based phenomenon because it's a problem with their souls.
God damn it. Yeah, it is touched upon, and it's weird.
Yeah, because that's going to ultimately be a big factor in why Thrawn has figured out a way to produce clones so quickly. Because previously you needed to let the clones grow naturally at least a little bit.
Marinate. Yeah, a couple months.
Can I point out that I feel like this was almost, and I'm sorry, I know you're going to yell at me, I feel like this was almost a Dune thing?
Get the out of
I
here.
feel like the clones are preborn. If you produce them too fast, you get an Alia. Whereas if you let them grow to maturity and they have their own personality, then they can protect themselves from the ancestral memories. This is kind of a Dune thing. Star Wars copied everything about it from Dune. It's all Dune. You should just read Dune instead. We could be reading Dune right now.
Yeah, except Dune is like really long and boring and drawn out.
Okay, let's talk about long, boring, and drawn out Talon Card.
Well, no, actually, let's talk about Leia, because these babies are coming out, buddy.
Oh god,
It's time to pop some babies.
there was
And
way
did you know that
breastfeeding.
Han is as nervous as a tauntaun on a ball bearing? Ben, I know that.
I know that I
What the
read.
f- is that?
I know that I read a detailed description of Leia breastfeeding twins for like
Yeah, you
4
did.
pages.
Yeah, you did.
Look,
Somewhere out there, it was a lot of pages.
it was a lot.
Breastfeeding.
Look, I know it's an intimate moment between mother and child and all that stuff, but like, I was not expecting that in Star Wars. I don't know that it was handled with the grace and tact that maybe it needed. Especially because it's weird. It's weird to me because I was coming to this from the first expanded universe thing I ever read was the Legacy of the Force series, where Jason and Jaina are like in their 30s. And
Hey, they had to come from somewhere, man. They needed
did.
nutrients when they were young.
But it was, to me, it was like seeing somebody you knew, like Jason. I guess I won't spoil it, but there's a lot that goes on with Jason, and so it was like, just imagine going back and seeing, like, I don't know, the Fawn's breastfeeding.
I mean,
Go on, make this joke.
I'm sure there's something on. You could probably find that. Now, he won't be a baby when he's doing it. Battle Ben,
There sure is.
where General Garm Bell Daddy,
That's right.
who
That's
doesn't
right.
really interact with Han for most of this entire thing. I guess
No,
they didn't want to expand on that love story any further.
Mon
so.
Mothma needed his attention.
Yeah, so he comes in, he saves the day, and by save the day, I mean he turns a battle from a crushing defeat into a minor defeat where they can run away.
He turns a battle from a crushing defeat into a, what did they call Vietnam? A retreat with honor or something.
I also like that Wedge calls something the Porkins Formation.
Oh. Okay,
Is that where you get shot and then you crash into a larger ship and die?
another thing. No, it's where you overeat. It's the Porkins Formation is something you do in a buffet.
Oh yeah, Porkins was the first
Of course
guy
he
who died.
was. Of course Porkins was the fat guy because George Lucas is an asshole.
Oh my god, Star Wars Blu-ray changes. New scenes, more Porkins.
We need the extended
Porkins is back as a Force ghost.
We need the extended cut where it's Rogue Squadron at the Chinese buffet before the big mission, and they're doing the Porkins Formation. Okay, guys, flying V, let's go.
Do you think that they told the actor that his name was Porkins?
I don't think he cared. I think they did because that man appeared at like every convention until the day he died.
Oh my god. So him getting name dropped here was no accident. Yeah, no, I thought Porkins was the leader, but no, you're right. Porkins is literally the first guy who dies in that battle.
Yeah, no, Wedge is the leader. That's why Wedge is there.
No, the leader of the Battle of Yavin, that one extra who gets killed. I didn't realize Porkins was. Oh, this is Porkins destroys the Death Star. Star Wars recut. Oh man, we went wildly off topic with the f***ing Porkins formation.
Porkins, they did you dirty, man. Porkins was supposed to be the star. He thought like he was originally Luke, and then it was just like Vader. Like when they did the recut and Vader found out James Earl Jones was doing his voice, and the actor was super pissed. It was like when Porkins saw Mark Hamill, he's like, "Who the f*** is this?" Aunt Beru. No.
Okay, so they eat way too much Chinese food, but they manage to escape. And that was that space battle. Meanwhile, Luke is running low on power, right? He needs some fuel cells. So he decides to visit the Nagri homeworld, which sounds like a really stupid idea because if he's spotted, the jig is up. And this entire species is going to be genocided.
Okay, there are no less than 4 times in this book where someone does something suicidal because it's the last thing they would expect. And I love that reasoning. That is the same way I play video games. And they're right. About 25% of the time, that pans out.
So yeah, Luke just goes to the Nagri world. It's not all that important. It just gets him out of the way for a while.
That's the problem. There's
a lot of build-up in this book.
There's 8 main characters, and this has happened in every book. The storylines for these 8 main characters are not all equally interesting at the same time.
Or important.
Yeah, but every chapter it has to like rotate perspectives, and so they just got to keep thinking of things for them to do, and eventually, like with Talon Card, they just run out of ideas, and the thing he has to do just doesn't ever become an issue.
The thing you need to do is convince these smugglers that you're not a bad guy, and then you need to find the clones, but someone else is going to find the clones for you, and then, like, eventually you're going to just go to that planet.
Sometimes the side quests...
Your entire purpose, Talon, is to transport Leia to that planet so that all the main characters can be on that planet.
Let me tell you how the storylines in this book work. There's 150 side quests in the game. Doing 100 of them gets you an achievement. But you wonder what would happen if you did all 150. Surely that must unlock something. It doesn't.
It unlocked some of your time.
They were just there so that you'd have a variety of options when completing the achievement. But you, a completionist, thought you had to follow them all through till the end. It's okay to just not write about Lando.
Oh, I was about to bring up Lando.
Lando you can cut too.
You could completely cut him. So I did want to do a brief skit, Ben.
All right. I'm always up for a skit.
So I'm gonna be Lando, but like a lamer version of Lando because I'm Nate.
Yeah, it makes
Lando,
sense.
Nate Rizian.
Lando, Nate Rizian.
You're gonna be General Garm Ben Iblis.
I can definitely do that. Come here, Lando. Come here. Come with me to the sauna. We're gonna have a little chat, man to man.
To the sauna.
To the sauna, yeah. Here, take this towel.
It's activated by the sun. It's too close to the planet. It just burns the shit right out of us. Do it.
It's great. It's gonna really open the pores. It's gonna really.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna take my shirt off. It's just gonna melt off in the sun.
No. Take your shirt off.
Okay.
Take your pants off.
Obviously.
We're both men. Just here's a towel. Here's a towel.
We're both men.
I don't need a towel.
I don't need a towel either. I'm fucking Lando.
Just tell me, Lando, what's up? What's your problem?
All my shit's broken. The Empire took everything, and no one in Coruscant's even gonna come out and help.
Well, maybe you should give him a call. You know, you got a lot of friends in Coruscant.
I already tried to give them a call. And yeah, I'm a general for some reason. I don't know how that happened, but no one's taking my calls.
General military man, I like that. So no one's taking your calls, huh? I guess you could go out there. How long does your equipment have until
who cares? It's not important. It's never gonna come back up again.
You know, I'm heading out that way. You could come with me.
Alright. Well, at least I don't have to worry about Imperial attacks on Coruscant.
Give me that towel. Oh my.
And yeah, Lando is there. He's there because he was in the movies.
Well, what I wanted to know is, so Lando, they build up this whole thing with Lando. They put a ticking clock on his mission. He's got 15 days to get help, or his miner and possibly the people running it are going to be irradiated by the sun. And
yeah, they're going to die in just horrific agony.
And he goes to Coruscant and he's like, I need you to do this or I can't mine metal for the rebellion. And Mon Mothma takes his hand, looks deep into his eyes, and says, I don't fucking care. And then they die.
He never mentions them again.
Yeah.
And that time has elapsed by the end of the book for sure.
Oh my god, yeah, no, his people are long dead. Lando forgot. He forgot. We forgot. I didn't forget. I have a note in my Kindle. It specifically says, Lando scowling at Leia's computer terminal and a list of what looked like a current market prices displayed there. And my note is, did Lando ever fix his mining thing?
Nope. They're all dead.
Yeah, they're all dead. And Lando's just checking the stock prices. He's like, this is going to cost me.
Damn it. I mean, there's tons of people out there. We can get more people, but that equipment, god damn it.
Oh yeah, there's huge supply chain problems because the Empire keeps like just taking over all the manufacturing planets, like the one that makes the chips. Can you imagine if some kind of evil empire took over the planet that made the chips? How are we going to podcast then? I told you.
Could you imagine if there was like only a few places in the galaxy that made chips, and like one of them was being
threatened by China?
Some sort of yeah. Let's get back to a happy-go-lucky.
You're right. Lando's dead miners.
Kidnapping. Yeah, Lando's dead miners. Well, now Thrawn has sent yet another commando squad to kidnap Leia and the children. But this time they're humans, so they're definitely going to succeed, right? Right, Ben? They're going to succeed?
Well, they would, except there's someone there that Thrawn doesn't suspect. And that's going to make all the difference. It's almost as if it's a Force thing.
Yeah, his plan was to shut Mara Jade up and to kidnap the twins. And he fails at both of those.
I remember. This is why we called her Marinara Jade, because you keep saying Mara Jade like you're from New York City.
I know. Oh, I love it. I love bothering you so much.
Mara.
So yeah, they attack the twins. Marinara Jade like kills several of them, and everyone except the leader of the commando raid is dead. And they're like, everyone's dead, son. You're in a hospital bed. We don't know if you're gonna make it. You need to just tell us who did this. Or whatever. Who let you in the palace? And he's like, it was a contact named Marinara, blah. And he goes into a coma, and they're like, well, obviously he has no reason to lie.
Can I read a quote from Thrawn's reaction to the potential?
Oh, okay. And then I have a quote in my head from one of the colonels, but you go ahead.
Well, I just thought maybe maybe Thrawn would like an opportunity to rephrase this. Still, even if we fail to obtain the twins for our beloved Jedi Master, Major Himron's fingering of Mara Jade should succeed in neutralizing her as a threat to us.
I did see this quote and go,
And
I don't know if I like that, Thrawn.
Pellion's just like, sir. Oh, look, I know we're the Empire, sir, but
well, I like that Thrawn, he studied the art of the Colonel and the security forces in Coruscant, and he realized that they're all a bunch of fucking idiots. So he knew that this would work, because they're like, all right, we got to put Mara in jail. Like, she let these guys in. And Han and Leia are like, she killed no less than 4 of them. Like, their plan failed because of her, single-handedly. She alerted the general and Lando, who then alerted security. Then she killed 4 of them, saving myself and the twins.
look.
Why is she the traitor? And their rock-solid logic was like, well, maybe that was all staged. She was supposed to kill them. And it's like, okay, that's a fair point, except if that was all staged, why would the guy give up the goods and say she was the one who did it?
Well, this is another Admiral Akbar situation where it's like, this is an allegation we have to take seriously. And it turns out, oh, Mara Jade used to be the Emperor's hand, and she specialized in all sorts of espionage and crap. Okay, I can't let Mara Jade anywhere near command decisions for a little bit. You know, I appreciate that she did the right thing, but we gotta, like, fully investigate this. So she's gonna have to, like, have some restricted privileges for a minute. And if she doesn't have anything to hide, she should understand that. And everybody...
No, this was extra strength stupid. They're like, well, maybe this was all part of her plan to infiltrate us. And it's like, but she's already inside of Coruscant. Like, she could infiltrate you without having to kill 4 dudes.
Well, maybe she couldn't infiltrate Leia's bedroom. And all her attempts at seduction had thus far failed.
She does mention Leia a lot. Like, Leia's like, hey, how are you doing, Mara? Just wanted to check on you. You know, you doing okay? I know you kind of been abandoned on this planet right now because they had to reconstruct your brain. And Mara's like, I can tell you're trying to be nice. I appreciate that. I'm going to kill your brother. I'm going to fucking gut him like a fish. But thank you. Thank you for checking up on me. That's really cool. I knew exactly where this was going. Did you know where this was going?
What, that Mara was going to get with Luke?
No, that Mara was going to kill a Luke.
Oh. No, I did not know where that was going. So this is another, I had already read, I know that Luke and Mara have a kid, so.
Yeah, they hook up. Because obviously, remember, Thrawn studied her art. She had she wrote Luke's name and crossed it out.
Yeah,
and said, I'm going to kill him, but she also had one of them with Luke and a heart.
Yeah. There's L&M inside a heart. I can say it is also super funny reading this book. I don't think the only people Luke kills are faceless stormtroopers.
He also killed some Nagri when he had no choice. He threw his lightsaber and he just cut through him like butter. But yes, he does not kill anyone else because that would be a path towards the dark side.
Yeah, Luke will never kill a named character because killing a named character is the path to the dark side. So thank God Mara Jade is there to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, Mara is the hero of this story, actually.
Yeah.
She single-handedly saves the day twice.
Yeah. It's like, Luke, buddy, I know you don't know this, but trust me, the Jedi are some of the biggest serial murderers in the galaxy.
Luke, I need you to think back, okay? I need you to recontextualize what Yoda and Obi-Wan were asking of you, okay?
Yeah.
They were keeping in the dark your paternity because they wanted you, and follow me here, they wanted you to murder your dad and they were afraid if you knew he was your dad, you wouldn't kill him.
Yeah, like the Jedi are a religious organization on par with Al-Qaeda. They arm themselves with really weird weapons and then kill everyone who, quote unquote, threatens the galactic peace. And if they don't kill you, their mercy is hacking off a limb. That's the Jedi. That's what they do.
You just disarm them. You just disarm them. You don't kill in cold blood, Ben. You just take off their arms or whatever.
Yeah, you just make their life a living hell.
Hey, there's robotic limbs in this universe.
I'm sure that fixes all the problems that come with having a limb amputated.
And hey, those lightsabers, they cauterize the wound for some reason. So you don't bleed to death everywhere.
You know, if you're a species that cauterizes.
Well, again, those are inferior species that we don't think about, Ben. And I really do not like that you keep bringing them up. I'm going to have to report this to the Grand Admiral.
Okay, but...
I do like that...
Did you hear what the Grand Admiral did to Mara Jade?
Yeah, I don't... Okay, so I was about to say, the Grand Admiral, when he's taking these planets, he's like... He's offering them good terms. Like, okay, we're going to take over your planet. We get control of the shield. You're going to disarm. And, like, we're not going to conscript your men. We're just going to take some resources. We won't even overtax you. And it's like, wow, these are generous terms to a conquered foe. So they have to remind you that they're evil because it's from Pellion's point of view. And Pellion's like, that way they won't resist until it's too late.
Can I read you some quotes? Because I have notes.
Okay, but I did want to just point out that Thrawn is not unnecessarily evil the way the Emperor is, except when it came to Mara Jade in the second book, where he's just a douche. Anyway, go ahead with your quotes.
Partly, Leia conceded. But it's mostly just simple tactical logic. I don't think Thrawn would have tried so hard to convince us that Mara was a party to that kidnapping attempt, unless he wanted us to disbelieve anything she might have told us about Wayland. My comment: triple cross. If you assume that, you also have to assume Thrawn figured the attempt would fail, Lando pointed out. Quadruple cross.
Well, okay, to be fair, Thrawn has a track record of failing with his commando raids. Whenever Thrawn goes up against a nameless planet, he will win. He will outsmart his opponent. He'll be like 20 moves ahead. He's playing like 7-dimensional chess. But when he's going up against the main characters, they always have some clever, out-of-nowhere scheme to get out of this.
Han patted her knee. The whole rebellion was highly illegal action bordering on treason, sweetheart. When the rules don't work, you break them. Leia took a deep breath and let it out slowly.
Han commits a lot of treason this entire series, actually.
It's okay, they're main characters.
Yeah, they really do get away with it. Mon Mothma's just like, I wish you would have told me, Leia. I wish you would have told me about this treason so that I would have okayed it.
Well, if you weren't such a fucking square...
But hey, she has to finally come to the conclusion that, goddammit, she needs Garm Bel Iblis to lead command of the defense of Coruscant. Goddammit, Ben. Thrawn is he's attacking Coruscant. We never saw this coming. We need you, Garm Bel Daddy.
I'm glad you reached this conclusion. Why don't you join me in the sauna real quick? You're not gonna need that rope. Here's a towel. Here's what we're gonna do, Mama.
Garm Bel Iblis just has a sauna on standby wherever he is.
Here's what we're gonna do, Mama. I forget what he does. I don't. All I had.
He takes command, and then Thrawn's like, "Wow, this would work really well if we were here to actually win the fight. Instead, we're just going to unload a bunch of cloaked asteroids and besiege Coruscant without any manpower."
Let's talk about the cloaked asteroids. In the first book, way back when, there were 2 technologies introduced that had not yet been used to their full potential. They were 2 secrets left by the Emperor to his successor, Thrawn. They were a cloaking technology for spaceships. And the cloaking technology seemed like kind of a double-edged sword because you could cloak a ship, but then the ship was kind of sensor blind because if it used its sensors, they could detect that. The other technology was the cloning. So Thrawn is using the clones to staff the ships he stole in the second book, and he has not yet made much use of the cloaking technology. The plan Thrawn comes up with is to, instead of attaching cloaking technology to the ships, he's going to round up a couple of large asteroids and attach the cloaking technology to them. He will cloak the asteroids, and he will throw the asteroids at Coruscant. Now, Coruscant has a planetary shield, so if the asteroids crash into it, Coruscant will be unharmed. But if he just leaves them in orbit around Coruscant, then they won't be able to ever put down the shields, which means they can't leave, which effectively renders Coruscant trapped. I was shocked nobody talked about food because Coruscant is just a massive city, but I don't know if that was defined yet at this point.
I don't think it was a massive city at this point because they're like, oh, there's a mountain out that way and blah, blah, blah. So I think at this time, at least, Coruscant was not necessarily a planet-sized city.
Yeah. So Coruscant is now that is how Thrawn is going to take Coruscant basically out of the war. And I thought that was way more interesting than another Death Star or another big laser. It was built on what was already there. It makes scientific sense. It actually seems to me like a good use of, tractor beams and stealth technology. Like if you assume all these technologies exist, then how would you apply them within the rules of science? Throw a bunch of asteroids in orbit. And that was Timothy Zahn, I think, using his scientific background to inject some actual sci-fi into Star Wars, which I really enjoyed. I thought of all of Thrawn's machinations, this was the most interesting. There's been a couple of really good set pieces in the stories before that I think really relied on Timothy Zahn's background as a physicist. But this was like, I loved it. If the Empire could work like this, it'd be great. Because I thought, like, in the original Star Wars trilogy, it was fine that it was the Death Star and Vader. And basically the Empire was just power itself. The Death Star is just such massive power that how do you beat it? Vader is also a giant guy who can lift you off the ground with one hand, and sometimes he doesn't even need to touch you. And so how do you just beat this like wall of power? Well, now they've done that, and they've beaten it. So it would be really dumb to just be like, even more power. You'd have to be some kind of idiot to think that would be a good...
What we need... Okay, so the Death Star was like a moon. Maybe we need a planet. And it fires 5 Death Star lasers this time.
Yeah. Because like even George Lucas understood that you couldn't do that again. And that's why the prequels were dealing with politics and bureaucracy and those tools getting used again, like a bloated bureaucracy coming under fire from within. And yeah, it was kind of all about George W. Bush, but whatever. This was, how do they beat somebody who can outsmart them? And this was smart. And I liked it. I think this was... I was already starting to like the book because things were finally allowed to happen in this book, and some of these plots were starting to get resolved. But this was like icing on the cake. This was the perfect attack. I actually enjoyed it.
Oh, hey! It's me, Future Nate. I didn't see you come into my study. Yeah, this is where I go when I'm done recording. I just lounge about, studying art. I'm a very cultured man, you see. Right now I'm studying some classical Italian art. That's Vivaldi. I know what you're thinking. Nate, are you planning on overthrowing a legitimate government by studying their art so that you cannot lose? So anyway, Words About Books. We're more than just a podcast. We've got a stream. We stream every single Monday, most of the time, at 7 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/wordsaboutbooks. We're also on the Twitters, as the kids call it these days, at WABpod. You can hit us up on Instagram at Words About Books Podcast. And if you're feeling especially generous, you can donate small amounts of money to us. And that's at buymeacoffee.com/WABpod. Anyway, I've gotta go. I've got a lot of art to study if I'm going to be able to outsmart my opponents on the battlefield. We'll be back next week to finally end the saga of everyone's favorite blue alien in Star Wars. And as a man, he wears a white jacket. I don't know who everyone's favorite blue alien is. I'm too busy studying culture. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, sorry, I hit record. You got me right as I shoved a banana into my mouth, man. Dude, you know when I eat a whole banana, I have to stick the whole thing in my throat.
Next time on Words About Books.
Nope, I'm gonna put another whole banana in my mouth. My God, that's a lot of banana.